A few things happened today. Justice Brett Kavanaugh had his first day on the Supreme Court bench, and Nikki Haley resigned as ambassador to the UN. Now, people are really wondering what was going on with Nikki Haley. She is someone who has all the makings of a future presidential candidate, and a lot of people really think that Donald Trump put her on the United Nations, as the ambassador to the United Nations, solely to build her political career. And we always have to be very skeptical about why this is happening within a particular political party, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats. This usually means that someone is being groomed for things like the presidency, or at the very least, possibly a future run at the Senate. Nikki Haley also responded to things like that, saying she's not going to be running in 2020. And overall, she didn't really do the best job as ambassador to the UN. She was just loud, and she was just uproarious, and she was trying to make the highlight reels, so to get the conservatives and the Republicans to start talking about her more. This really seems like the Republican Party was building her up as a future presidential candidate. And, on the one hand, that's diversity, so good for them. But on the other hand, it's just like, once you find out that someone is being groomed for the presidency, that reeks of just billionaire dollars being poured into someone. This is the special interest stuff that everyone's trying to get away from. And, this is the things that, a lot of the grassroots movements, like what's going on with the Democrats, is almost a better alternative. And that's almost becoming the lesser of two evils. Bernie Sanders had no super PAC. And that's a start. Hillary Clinton had all kinds of PAC money. She had all kinds of mega donors, and she failed. Absolutely failed. It was a horrendous disaster. You're a former senator, first lady, and secretary of state, and you lost to a reality TV host. It's like the Democrats have to rebound. But one of the things that the Democrats need to do is, I can say one good thing about them. They're really capitalizing on the blue wave momentum. They're really capitalizing on the amount of energy that is going toward the blue wave. We're talking about putting lots of Democrats into the Congress. It's very likely the Democrats are going to win the House. We're not quite sure about the Senate yet, but furthermore, there are also many people coming from different backgrounds. Lots of women are running. Lots of people of color are running. Challenge this ridiculous notion of traditionalism in America that is holding us back. Why are so many people set on preserving the status quo? It doesn't help you to preserve the status quo. The only thing that helps you is when you stand up to the people that are ripping you off the most. And it's not the government. What is this small government nonsense? It's nonsense. The people that are ripping you off the most are the mega banks. And who's the party that talks about going after the mega banks? Is it the Republicans or the Democrats? It's the Democrats. The Republicans are all about small government. You know what? Milton Friedman was wrong. Free markets just mean that the richest entities get to dominate. That's all it is. And that's why people like Milton Friedman exist. Because, people who want these sort of free market policies to benefit things like mega banks benefit from having someone spread that stuff out to the general public. The Cato Institute is a product of the Koch brothers. Dave Rubin is a product of the Koch brothers. Small government policies are only meant so the financially dominant industries can continue to dominate. The mega banks, the arms industry, big oil. These are all the things that are just ripping America off. So, we need people on the Democratic side to stand up and pass legislation that is going to go after the mega banks. We're talking about the reinstatement of Glass-Steagall. Who was the only one who was really gunning for that? Martin O'Malley. Nobody wanted to listen to them. Bernie was not the answer for the Democrats. Hillary was not the answer for the Democrats. The closest thing they would have had would have been O'Malley. But if they really wanted to talk about something, why wouldn't the Democrats go with somebody like Barbara Lee in 2016? You have a woman, a person of color. She's got the diversity vote right there. You also have a peace activist. She was the only person to vote against military involvement in Afghanistan in either house of Congress. The only scar on Barbara Lee's reputation is that she has some connections to the Black Panther Party, which, that's a big scar. But, a lot of people have rebounded from that stuff in the past. Donald Trump seems to rebound from absolutely any scandal that is thrown at him. 3 people accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. 19 women accused Donald Trump of sexual assault, and he didn't really seem to deny it when he was talking to Billy Bush. the Democrats really have to do something. They really have to look at November of 2018 as sort of the put up or shut up moment. It's like we could be on the verge of the end of the Democratic Party. We could be on the verge of the Democrats shutting down. If this blue wave does not happen, the Democrats could kiss their future goodbye, and then we would have to really be looking for two possible things. Either the Republican Party would split into two factions, and we can have sort of a pro-worker, pro-financier, Wall Street oligarch conversation, or we could see the rise of a third party. One of the large things that we can look at is, what is the Green Party doing? What is the Peace and Freedom Party doing? And why aren't these left-wing organizations reaching across the aisle and say, hey, libertarians, join in on us. Hey, Prohibition Party, Constitution Party, Labor Party, whatever you want to call yourselves, Working Families Party. All the third parties in America need to unite against the Republicans and the Democrats, and then we can divide it into a three-way race and actually have a real people's candidate. I mean, it's just like, if you think that Donald Trump was a candidate for the people, he was not. He was just, his own walking special interest. I mean, when you have a billionaire running for president, he is a special interest. And he is not looking out for the average citizen. And everybody knows it. How could anyone still support Donald Trump? We know that they had just this data algorithm that told them what issues were more sensitive than others. He needs to talk about Muslims today. He needs to talk about illegal immigrants today. He needs to talk about this subject or that subject. And he just did that. It's all fake. It's all chicanery. It's all trickery. It's phony baloney. And you know this. Everybody knows this. So why does he still have a following? Are you that polarized that you can't just recognize that Donald Trump only ran because he knew how to manipulate the system and was only caring about himself and didn't care about a single one of the Republican voters? Donald Trump doesn't say what's on his mind. They had a data algorithm that told him what to say. And he just said, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to do that. That's what's going on with the Republican Party. One of the things that the Democrats really have to do is they cannot get cut up. The Democrats can't get cut up into this mega false dichotomy where you have, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez faction, and then you have other people like Andrew Yang trying to push for new capitalism. AOC is, of course, going towards the democratic socialism. And, that's exactly what the Democrats are doing. They're getting divided between new capitalism and democratic socialism. But one of the things about the socialists is you will not pull in the middle ground. AOC will not be able to get even the entirety of the Democratic Party under one flag. Why? Because the Democrats have no real leader. AOC can't be the leader. She can't run for president. She's 28 years old. She can't even run for the Senate. She's only 28. So, who's the leader of the Democratic Party right now? Maxine Waters? No. Nancy Pelosi? No. Hillary Clinton? No. Bernie Sanders? No. Bernie's only the leader of a very small section of the Democratic Party, and it's about to be taken over by AOC. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is just a product of the Justice Democrats, which are sponsored by Cenk Uygur. That's why she became so famous, because of all the airtime that TYT was giving her. It's like, this is once again, it's the same story with Nikki Haley. Somebody is being groomed for taking a larger role in politics by an entity that has a substantial amount of power. And yes, I do say that a group like TYT has power. They're one of the largest left-wing online media outlets. They are planting ideas into the next generation, and they want AOC to be their candidate. And you think that, if you don't think that this is true, I don't know if I can help you. You think that Cenk Uygur isn't just sitting around, one day we will have the presidency? That's how these things work. That's what's going on with Nikki Haley. That's what's going on with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And that's exactly what was going on, with people like Hillary Clinton. The only problem is she lost. People definitely sit around and they plot and they scheme, and they're just like, how do we obtain the presidency? Very, very few things are just about ideas. Very few things are just about discussion points. And, it's just like, that's just not what it's about. When it comes to someone like Brett Kavanaugh, though, we have a bit of a different conversation going on. So many people were just only focusing in on his sexual allegations, and it's like, never mind that the libertarians were the ones who were going after Kavanaugh the hardest because he was anti-Fourth Amendment. He was definitely involved with the drafting of the Patriot Act. I mean, and all of that is suddenly forgotten, and absolutely everything like that is just out the window. And his entire political record was out the window. The Democrats are, of course, going after him because apparently he is anti-Roe v. Wade, and he also is he's anti, reforms that would indict the president. He's opposed to the concept of the president being able to be indicted while he is in office. So, he is definitely giving too much power to the presidency. So it's like the only thing people were talking about were the allegations. And, this might be one of the few things where it's just like, we have to be honest. In a Senate hearing, there's no presumption of innocence. There is no presumption of guilt. There is no reasonable doubt. This is just something where we have somebody who is giving his side of the story and her side of the story. If you think that sounds like a he said, she said, well, then you're right. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's just a sort of, back and forth between his side and her side. Well, guess what? When that happens, it cancels it out. It cancels it out, and that's what we got. That's why we have Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court now. So it's like, that one really isn't a mystery, but no one was talking about his record. Nobody was talking about, the things he actually did as a judge or as a lawyer. It all just turned into allegations. And that's not good for the culture of America, when people are only caring about whether or not someone committed a sexual assault when they were 17 years old. That's your criteria to be on the Supreme Court? The entirety of the American public, whether they're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or Green, you got to recognize that that is not acceptable. That's not the only bar that you should pass to get on to the Supreme Court. More importantly, we need to be talking more about things that are actually going to stop destroying our planet, like big oil. Yes, we need to have, legislation that slows down fossil fuels. Yes, we need to have things that are slowing down these wars that are destroying humanity, both the human beings and the earth. Somebody was calling into a radio show, and they were just like, go vegan. It contributes to the reduction of climate change. It contributes to the earth. And then the people on the show were just like, hey, this isn't going to be solved by individuals. And it's like, yes, it is solved by individual. Because once you stop trying, you're just a nihilistic cynic. And when you're a nihilistic cynic, everything becomes dull and pessimistic. You have to make changes in your lifestyle that help the earth. I'm not a vegan. I'm not saying everyone should go vegan. But yes, start developing things like light green environmentalism, lifestyle change. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I believe we teach kids about this in school or something. It's like, you have to try. Because once you think that you're not connected to this, and once you think that you have no responsibility, or that no matter what you do, it's not going to work, then you are just going to be overrun by the mega banks, big oil, and the arms companies, and all of the things that control the political system. When you have too much control in private industries and private sectors, remember how Milton Friedman was wrong? It's like, then the private sector just moves the public sector to its advantage. Civilization was created because of a strong public sector. And when Adam Smith was talking in The Wealth of Nations about, things like freedom, it means freedom from entities such as the megabanks. It means freedom from entities such as large private entities that control the system, that have all the power. Large concentrations of wealth equal large concentrations of power. Noam Chomsky. It's just like, when we have too much power in the form of a private entities such as the megabanks, they can just move the political system to their advantage, to their desired outcome, and they will exert their control onto society. So it's just like, a strong private sector is bad. We need to have a strong public sector so private entities don't become too powerful, because the public sector is for everyone. And the private sector is only for the people who are running it. It's just like, you know this and I know this. This shouldn't be new. This is something that everyone actually understands. They just don't talk about it on CNN because they're too busy saying words like liberal and conservative. When are we all just going to wake up and realize that we're all being ripped off by big oil, the arms companies, and the mega banks? Unacceptable. Get rid of for-profit warmongering. Let's also get rid of for-profit prisons. When there is too much concentration of power in these private entities, the free market that people want, the free marketplace, turns into a catastrophic disaster. What we need to do is recognize that the strong public sector can be used to unite the entirety of a nation and push the country forward. That's why they call it progress.